Alrighty. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone. You are welcome to Analyze This. And I want to thank you very much for your time and your contribution towards Analyze This. Today, we're going to be talking about current affairs in Ghana. I know we started watching a video, an address by Paul Boateng the other time, and we promised we're going to continue. We're not done. We've not forgotten. We're still definitely going to continue with that analyzing of that video. But today we're going to be talking about some happening in Ghana recently. A few things that caught our attention on social media, and we want to talk about it today. First of all, I want to, as usual, let you know that on this platform, we don't entertain insults, because insults don't solve problems. And on this platform, we are looking for solutions. We're looking to solve problems on this platform. So, secondly, as usual, before we start our program, I want to encourage us to keep thinking of the statement that creativity and inventions are not by the color of one's skin, but by an educated mind. Creativity and inventions are not by the color of one's skin, but by an educated mind. With that being said, I just want us to zoom straight into today's Analyze This. And today we want to talk about, the first one is going to be instant justice. For the past few weeks, we came across a video where an up-and-coming musician got lynched by a mob claiming that he was a thief. So they pounced on him and beat him to death. Basically, the animal instincts of those people were ignited just for the mere fact that they heard that somebody has stolen something or somebody was a thief. Justice was administered instantly without the person having a fair hearing or in a court of competent jurisdiction. Without the person being given the opportunity to even defend himself. And then again, as Prof always says, we should be asking ourselves, what kind of society, what kind of community do we want to build in our nation, Ghana? What kind of a society are we willing to sacrifice? Are we willing to build in our motherland, Ghana? We really have to understand that this comes from various aspects. There are reasons to which people would do stuff of that nature, where people would administer justice instantly. We're not going to go into the merits of the case. We have no facts to what happened, whether the guy was a thief or not a thief. We have no facts to that effect. And that's not what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about instant justice, the public lynching. I believe some time back they did the same thing to a military officer who was sent on an errand and was pounced on by the community and was lynched to death. And this trend has been ongoing. It's been ongoing for years, and it seemed as if nobody cares about it. And today I'm going to talk about the role of the media in helping to educate people to understand that barbaric act should not be entertained or be encouraged in our communities. That barbaric act should not be entertained and should not be encouraged. And it will first start from the media personnel who sit on radio and justify some of these things, sometimes unknowingly. So today we're going to bring to their attention to some of the statements they make. Like, oh, we're rolling the time and kaya bonema. Rollins and Taman we are encouraging and inciting people and psyching people to seek instant justice because we don't believe in the court of competent jurisdiction. So statements of that nature from our media personnel, it's not helping, because the media, being the fourth estate of the realm, is supposed to educate, is supposed to entertain, is supposed to inform the people. And so if we have chosen the path of a civilized society, if that is what we want to create, then we want to encourage and teach and educate the people on civilized way of handling some of these things. The fact that somebody is accused of something does not mean the person is guilty. The fact that somebody has been accused of a crime does not mean the person is guilty. The person is still innocent until the person has been proven guilty by a competent court of jurisdiction, claiming that this person, based on the information we have, based on the facts we have, is guilty of the crime that has been that is he or she is being accused of. So please, the first thing I'm going to talk about, or the first, like I said, there are multiple factors leading to some of these things, and we're going to tackle all the factors leading to some of this public lynching and instant justice. I quite remember some time back, a friend of mine, his younger brother almost got lynched to death just because he was walking in the night through a neighborhood claiming that they've been theft over and over and over in that neighborhood. So they were laying vigilant to see who is doing such a thing. And this guy happens to be in the place at the wrong time. And somebody yelled, "Thief." And that was it. They pounced on him. Fortunately for him, as they were beating him up, somebody who knew him was like, "Oh, I know this guy. He works in this kiosk." Before they started leaving one after the other. And even that, they left him to die. So a few of the guys who used to work with him came out. The guy who saw him, identified him, went to the store to alert the guys, because the guys were sleeping in the store, to alert the guys that, hey, one of you guys is being beaten and he's left to die out there. So they had to rush there, rushed him to the hospital, to 37 Military Hospital. And fortunately, he got saved. But the trauma and the torture he went through. So please, we need to educate the media. Now we have social media, we have traditional media, we have all forms of media, and we want to encourage media personnel, stop blabbing out some of these loose talks like, "Oh, Rollins time and ya bunny too, oh, where time and ya papa in the news." These are some of the things that incites people to seek instant justice. So media personnel, especially the professional ones who sit on, I know sometimes we do it out of emotions, sometimes we do it unconsciously, but so long as we have decided to sit on radio or TV to educate people, we have to be conscious of what we say. We have to be deliberate of the things that comes out of our mouth, because people are listening to us. They're not just listening, they're going to practice what we tell them. So please, I want to start introducing this issue, this fight against public lynching and instant justice, by first talking about the media, the responsibility of the media, the role of the media to help educate and and inform the people of the due process available when somebody is accused of a crime. I know the police is involved, the role of the police and all that, which I'm pretty sure Prof is going to tackle that, but the first thing I want us to talk about is the role of the media, our contribution in educating the people to understand that the court system is there not for a joke, or the legal systems are not there for a joke. They are there to address some of these issues. We know we have issues of trust, what have you, but let the media personnel begin to change their language and speak to the people. When the military guy was killed, I thought people were going to make nonsense about some of these things, talk about public lynching. Nobody did. All they did was to accuse the people of the town, but did not address the issue of public lynching. And this is the role of the media. This is the responsibility of the media, to educate the people to understand that when somebody is accused of a crime, does not mean the person is guilty. And even if the person is guilty, the citizens or the public have no right to administer justice. They are not the police. They are not the custodians of administration of justice. They should leave it to the systems and those who have been mandated to do so, to do so. So please, the role of the media, I am laying the first blame at the doorsteps of the media and the professional journalists who sit on radio and make loose talks. Like, oh, yeah, papa in any so. Yeah, me pie and come in or didn't trust him, me pie in any so. Some of these loose talks, please, let's guard what comes out of our mouths. If we want to sit on radio and TV. Just recently, I saw a video where somebody was spewing out nonsense. And you could hear in the background, a colleague of his was prompting him, stop it. And he told him, oh, let me tell my story. Let me tell my truth. And just about 3 days ago, I heard he's been arraigned in court. So we have to be deliberate. The things we're going to talk about on radio or TV, if you don't understand the repercussions, go and do your research and know the repercussions, the impact it's going to have on the community, the people who are listening to you, your audience. Are you educating them? Are you entertaining them? Even if you're educating them, what is the mode of education? And I'm pretty sure this journalist meant to educate people because he was talking about karma. He meant to educate people, but the mode of education implicated himself. And now I'm pretty sure he's lost his job. And he's facing the consequences of the law. So please, media personnel, let us guard what comes out of our mouths. And I also want to plead with the producers, because most of the producers are in the ears of the presenters, especially on TV. Those who wear earpieces, they speak to the presenters on TV. They speak through the earpieces to them. Pay attention. Prompt them when they are going the wrong path, when they are saying silly stuff that will incite people to anger, that will incite people to instant justice. Prompt them. For me, I know the police has a role to play, which is a big role. And I understand that part. But I want to see the media personnel playing their part by educating the people and guarding what comes out of their mouths. I think I've spoken enough for almost about 15 minutes. So today we have a special guest, her ladyship, Reverend Margaret, is with us today. So without much ado, I would let Miss Margaret introduce herself. And then we have our prof also go So Miss Margaret, introduce yourself, make your submission, and then we'll move on to Prof.
Thank you for the opportunity, Executive Director. And good evening to your listeners and everyone who is online. Good evening to Prof too. Just like my director said, I'm Margaret, so I'm here to listen to the great minds discuss Ghana and then the way forward. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Reverend. Prof. Prof. I think you're on mute. Oh, okay. I see you now. Yes, Prof. Your introduction.
Sorry about that. I got a call.
Reverend was brief.
Yeah, I had to sort of answer a call before I come back. My
Oh,
name
okay.
is Ojoe Frimpong, and I can see my executive director is heated this morning, so I'm going to play the devil's advocate. But in everything, I like to remind our listeners to go back to our old ways, our idioms, our adages, our proverbs. Yɛnka nniwakyi a wosi ɛdɛ. If it is not against you, you might consider it okay. When we set out to build a society, what kind of society are we building? You know, to piggyback on what Nana Osebonsu said, I have a friend whose younger sister nearly got lynched in the Kumasi market simply because somebody didn't like her. She's just passing, she shouted thief. By the time somebody recognized her, she had to be rushed to the hospital. And up till today, we don't know why anybody called her a thief because she had not done anything. One of my classmates from high school was a cocoa buying agent, and then he will go and pay um, the farmers through their representative. Unknown to him, the representative would take the money, invest it in bonds, and wait a year before he pays the farmers. But anytime the farmers approach him, the rep will say, "Oh, the money is not in. The money is not in." But he just wanted the interest. So one day, my classmate who went to the villages to, that's his job. He goes around, he solicits information, he does his work, and he comes back to his base in Kumasi. The farmers had already made up their mind they were going to kill him because he's not paid them for a year. They called him a thief. They say he stole a bicycle. It was the head teacher of the middle school of the remote village that saved his life. Said, yes, you've beaten him enough. He's a thief. We are taking him to the next town to the police station. That's what saved his life. He didn't even know what he had done until they go to the police. So we want to be a society of laws or a society of instant justice. And like I said before, don't wait until it happens to you. Because when you experience or witness an injustice and you don't say anything, you are perpetuating the injustice against yourself because you are making the people accept what is going on. And one day is going to be your turn. And then you'll be surprised nobody will come to your aid. So all I'm going to say is that let reasonable minds reign. Let us all continue to assess our situations vis-a-vis what kind of society we want to build, and put ourselves in the shoes of these people who have been lynched. As Nana, who is a professional journalist, is putting the blame at the doorstep of these, one aspect of the blame, I will rather put it more on the security agencies and our lawmakers. Like Nana, you said, after the military guy was lynched to death, I was expecting new laws, new rules to be propagated and put into effect by our parliament. I, I have not done any research on that, but I have not heard or read anything to the effect that a bill has been passed into law, probably named after this military guy who was killed, or made public fanfare, really to let people understand that if you go ahead and you lynch somebody without the person going through the process of the law, you yourself, you are going to be put through the process of the law so that justice will be effected. You know, there are no coincidences. These things are happening because we do not learn the lessons from the past. Consequence is not coincidence. We're still lynching people to death because those who do the lynching largely have not faced any consequences. And that's why they continue to do it. If they had been facing consequences, I don't think we will have the level of impunity with which people go ahead and just accuse somebody and just beat him to death. And that's going to be my toast today. Thank you, Nana.
Thank you, Prof. Yes, I thought you were going to zoom into the police, the responsibility of the police, which I have on my list as the next.
Yeah,
Okay,
you know me.
Go ahead and do that,
You
because
know
I know
me.
you.
There are two ways of building a society. There's the bottoms up and the top down. Everybody has the notion that it should always be bottoms up. Personally, looking at our conditions and the kind of society that we have today, I've always believed in leadership first, top to bottom. Let the top behave the right way, and it simmers and goes through all the layers because expectations are created and enforced by leadership. It is never created and enforced by the citizenry. The citizenry becomes powerful when they are actually educated and informed. You have to reach a certain critical mass for the citizenry to be that powerful. We have not reached that point. We have not reached that point yet. And everything that is happening in our society tells me personally that our citizenry are not educated or informed enough to make themselves a force to reckon with. So we come back to the leadership structures that are already in place,
And
we do respect
let me
leadership.
just add this tip to it. Even if the citizens are educated and they are well informed to whatever point, they still don't write laws. They influence the writing of the law. So it goes back to leadership.
Exactly.
Thank you. Just want to add that to it.
Exactly. And now that we are not that educated and informed, the onus and the responsibility is on leadership to make sure that certain things do not happen. Why am I saying this? What happened to the people who killed the military guy? We will go back to that. People have been killing accused robbers, armed robbers, or thieves, whatever, for years. I personally did not witness a lot of consequences for the people who perpetrated. Even when I was in secondary school, we were on vacation. Some people not on vacation. Midterm, some people stayed behind. This guy had been stealing wires from our poles, and the school authorities were making us pay for the wires that these thieves steal because they thought it was the student. This guy comes to steal, and some guys caught him. He was way up in the air, cutting the uh, and the mob already from below, and he had to come down. Sad to say, he was beaten to death. And at that time, I was there, and I was jubilating. I was a kid. I didn't know. I was a teenager, and it was us teenagers who beat this guy to death. And it was common. It was okay. And if you allow such behavior to pervade a society, you are actually making it seem very, very normal. And until I grew up and started understanding the roles of laws, of justice, and understanding that though the wheels of justice may grind really slowly, especially in our cases, they do grind. And we need to allow the systems to work. Now, it is the responsibility of the police to generate the kind of confidence that the society will have in them so that whenever there is a case of a suspected criminal, the people will feel confident enough in the police to take that suspected criminal and give him to the police, or to even inform the police of the existence of the suspected criminal. Here we are in a society in which the people think the police is the criminal organization. They don't trust the police. Whenever they have information and they give it to the police, the perception is that the police is going to take a bribe and let the person go scot-free. And until the police proves themselves worthy of confidence, this issue of mistaken identity or suspected criminality will always invariably end up in being lynched to death. Whether the society believes you're a criminal or not will not be the issue. The issue is that they only need to suspect you. And believe me, some people jump on the bandwagon of thief and beat a person without even finding out whether the person has actually stolen something. They don't need that information. All they need to hear is that somebody is a thief. And the reason this continues to happen is because there is no systematic way to approach the issue. You have to create a sense of my words are not coming to me, but you have to create this expectation that these are the steps that will be taking place if this happens. That kind of structured response to a problem in a society is not the responsibility of the common citizen. It's the responsibility of leadership. What are the rules of engagement if something like this? What are we supposed to do when this happens? And we need to beat it over and over and over into the citizenry. And that's where your issue with media personnel come in, and I totally agree with you. When this guy in Kumasi was lynched to death, I took a sample of all the responses from, people that are in the media space that you expect to know better. And strictly speaking, it was just all blame game. Nobody was trying to educate the public as to what to be done if this happens again. They were just putting individualizing
a quick question.
the issue. Yeah,
a quick question. Don't you think the education got to come first before we even attack and talk about the police?
The education is the first area of attack.
Because trust me, I haven't done a survey. I don't have the statistics on what I'm going to say, but trust me, I am pretty sure Most of these people, when you ask them, when you get hold of an alleged thief, what do you do to the person? And I
The
can
word,
bet
the
you
word,
less.
Nana, the word
let
alleged doesn't exist in their dictionary.
Yeah, but I'm saying, if you ask about, let's say, 100 people within certain communities, what do you do to such people? Trust me, more than 50%, it's going to be less than 10% who will talk about the police, or more than 50% are going to talk about lynching, because that's
Exactly,
what they know.
exactly. And
You
that's
know,
a
so that is
failure.
why I am more concerned about the education, for people to understand that there are proper ways of addressing these issues.
Yeah, I think we've had a discussion about how our society is structured. That was about 2 years ago.
Right.
And I made you aware that we move from behavior straight to punishment. That's us. Behavior straight to punishment. Other societies move from behavior to education about the behavior and its ill effects or good effects, to mitigating circumstances which brings about the behavior, like introducing alternative measures that can be used instead of the bad behavior that we are used to, and then providing solutions, which is the alternatives to that behavior, before they go into punishment, because there's going to be always dissidents and miscreants, whatever you call them. So you have to go to punishment eventually, but you don't jump from behavior straight to punishment. You do that, nobody learns. And punishment is not really a deterrent for at least 5 to 10% of the population. But some people, if you give them an alternative to the bad behavior, they will take that alternative. And that's the responsibility of both the media and the leadership structures that we are supposed to have in place. That's my belief. And it works. It works. You see? Yeah, I remember that. We were talking about why people throw trash into any place they can find without thinking about this ill consequence. I think it was 2 years ago when we were discussing this, and I brought that up. So yeah, I believe that we need to educate. And even after this guy was beaten to death in Kumasi, I didn't see the education aspect. I did not see that. I also believe that as we educate and we engage the public, we should take their opinions and make them into laws. That's why we have representatives or MP who are supposed to have made a law against public lynching when the military guy was killed, because that was a very high profile case. When it's supposed
I haven't checked on the law, but I'm pretty sure we got one. But Ghana has too many laws that does not work. So
it's not an issue of the laws not working, it's an issue of the laws, the people being totally
not being
ignorant.
enforced.
Yes, the laws are not enforced. The people don't know about the existence of the law. Even if there was a law against public lynching before the military guy, it needed to be reintroduced to the people through the media space, that whenever you think somebody is a thief, whenever you think somebody is a criminal, you do not beat the person. You can use a citizen arrest and take him to the police. So this is a negative feedback loop which continues to be relooped. Because first and foremost, the people don't trust the police. The behavior of the police is not trustworthy.
Okay,
And
let me chip in this too. Talking
engage.
about the trust of the police, but even if you don't trust the police, don't we have like the DCE or DCO, whatever they call them? Don't you even have the kings? Don't you have the assemblymen? Don't you have people you can at least task them to make sure this person is prosecuted?
Yes, we do have these people in our society. And in talking about the Kumasi lynching recently, that was one of the things that I was happy about eventually, but it is not the first step people think about. Believe me, this guy in Kumasi was already beaten to the point of death before a bystander decided to go find the assemblyman. They didn't call him when they were beating him to death. And these are some of the research objectives that our social sciences in our universities should be looking at. Why is it that eventually, when this guy was already beaten to the point of no return and he's been placed in a public space, they went to the assemblyman? And Tanoso is not a village. It has a police station. It has an assemblyman. It has a chief. It has elders within the community. Why is it that the boy was beaten? These are not sentiments. These are facts. And I don't have answers to that. Unfortunately, I don't. The only thing I know of is that people do not trust the authority to do the right thing. And that's why I always come back to leadership and say, create the condition in which I do have trust. And I'll come to you. This is not going to take a year, month, it might take decades. But until we create that expectation and we repeatedly enforce it, our people will continue to die at the hands of lynch mobs. That's why I would rather the police make themselves trustworthy. Look, this woman, alleged woman who said he set up the motion in which this boy was beaten to death, he had the temerity to say on public radio that he got case abroad, and even if they take the case to court, she will bribe her way through.
Oh,
That's what the
yeah.
woman said. Yeah. Yes. And then she went ahead, pronounced a curse through the gods, and eventually he's been made to go and renounce the curse because she had actually cursed herself. People behave in a certain way simply because that's what they believe in. And until we create the belief and the trust in the authorities, we will continue to have these scenarios created and recreated in our society. Everybody is condemning it, but we are not putting in place the structures and the educational aspect of it to make us change our behavior. To make us change our behavior, we need to re-educate ourselves. That's the basic principle that should be at play right now. Personally, I believe the police holds, or the authorities, I shouldn't just say the police, holds 90% of the blame for the way our society is being run because our people don't trust them. And as long as our people don't trust them, they will do whatever they think is right. They don't even have to have any proof that what they are doing is right or wrong. They just do. It's an automatic response right now. Thank you.
Alrighty.
I
Yeah,
sorry,
Reverend, go
I
ahead.
want to disagree partially with Prof that the police, because there's not so much trust with the police, that is why these things are happening. Yes, it can be the case. Even today, on my way to campus, the boat that I ordered, we got to circle overhead, and then the policeman asked the driver to stop. He stopped. He said, "Where is your license?" He showed the license, and the next thing is you are in sleep on, so you can't drive. Get down. And I saw that the guy went there, put something in something, and gave him. Then he just said he should drive on. Yes, so the cases are there. They are real. We all don't have maximum some level of trust for them. But the point is that whether or not we have trust for the police, we are talking about human beings, human lives. Growing up, we have the system where those days in the community, we have people, we are taught, there's that kind of education, how to love one another and that kind of thing. So I believe that it goes beyond trusting the police. We can still trust the police and some of these things will happen. Where does love for humanity stand? It's because some of these people don't, one, respect humanity and don't have some level of love, or they are exerting their stress on other people. Otherwise, Kojo, you are a family man, you have a child, Nana have children, I have children. I don't think any of our children will grow up and hear Chobo Ewi, then they'll go after that person. It's also start from the home. And I think 2 years ago, when we went to one of the media house and we're talking about some of these things, you and Anna, you were talking about how we can even be leaders in our homes, bring our children up well, because there are no funds in the country where the NCCE will go about educating people about some of these things. So if we can, there's no money available, and the Ghana government cannot reach out to every community in the way of education, telling them about our laws, because the laws are chunk and most of them don't even work anyways, but they are still passing law every day. So then what do we do? So I think that the responsibility lies on the parents that are giving birth to these children. Because when you train the child well and you make that child understand that this is the way you have to go, even if you heard that somebody is an armed robber or a thief or whatever, you don't go out there throwing yourself on the person, beating that person to death. Just now when I got back from school, I think one of my daughters were having some conversation. So the sister told her something and she just believed what the sister said. And I'm like, don't do that next time. Whenever somebody tells you something, take your time, try to listen to the other side of the story to know the truth before you take a stand. Because if you don't do that, you always judge wrongly. Because what your sister told you, I didn't say that, she's just trying to pull your legs. So in this way, we are trying to help the child grow. So when she's growing, she knows that when I hear something, I need to take my time. So the question is, those people involved, those people doing all the things they are doing, what is their background? What is the training giving them at home? Because I believe if they were given that proper training, they won't go out there taking somebody's life. Yes, even if the person is going out with somebody else's husband, is it a justification to kill that person? No, it's not a justification. So where is our conscience? Do we have the right to take somebody else's life? No, because all of us have things that we do. If the camera should be set or put anywhere, like in the glare in the wall, maybe in the sky, everybody will see that we are not perfect. Everybody will see the wrong things that everyone is doing. Each and everyone is doing. So why should we always jump into conclusion? And I think this is something that is with human beings. We always jump into conclusion. We don't take our time. Everything that we are running. So what if this guy is not even gone to this lady and the person is dead? So it's not just the first time. A lot of things are happening. Beyond that, there are issues about men. When a woman says, I'm no more going to be with you, they are killing them, they are doing this, they are doing so many things. So when I listen to some of these things, I believe it is because we have left our culture that believes in togetherness, that believes in unity, that tells us about love in a broader perspective. These days, we don't see all of those in the communal labor that brings us together. After the communal labor, we have some session that they talk to us as youth. These things are no more in the society. We've lost touch with all of those things. So I believe that before, yes, the police can be a part of it, but the people that are involved, what kind of background do they have? Who is their parent or who are their parents? How do they understand humanity, human beings? Because If you value yourself and you value another person's life, no matter what, you will not go taking somebody's life just because you've heard of something, even if the person did it. So what? Do you have that right to take them on? No. So I think that we need to go back to the olden days where this communal labor happens every weekend or monthly. I don't really remember how it was done. Then afterwards, these youths can be gathered and have those kind of base to interact with the elderly, to be told the do's and don'ts, and maybe somehow we might get somewhere. And then talking about the journalists, I used to be a journalist. And then those days when we were practicing as journalists, there were things that we're not supposed to do. And I quite remember our time, you don't hear even stuff about media people. It was a noble job. You rarely will hear bad stuff about journalism or journalists. But today, instead of them helping with the good things or good news or projecting what is right in society, one or the other, they are all kind of I don't know, lack of good words. I don't know what they are practicing, because today, if you have the voice, anyone can sit behind the console with no training, with no background. They say they are journalists. So they come there and say things that they are not supposed to say. They are not even guarded by their words that children are listening, children are watching, and all of those things. So I think that the GJA should have a standard. Those days when I was schooling at doing journalism course, it was a GBC standard. There are do's and don'ts. I still have that manual somewhere. So there are things that you are not supposed to do. There are things that you are not supposed to say as a journalist. But today, because people, excuse my language, somebody will say stomach journalism. So people are in for the money. They want to say things that they will have people lauding them, instead of thinking about humanity once again, instead of, trying to touch life and making an impact. So today, a lot of people are working, including the police, the journalists and politicians, whoever. A lot of people working today because of their stomach. We are not saying we shouldn't work to earn a living, but let's also think about making an impact. If we think about making an impact, transforming life, touching people positively, I'm sure whichever way, whichever profession we find ourselves, we'll be diligent in our work and we'll do what is expected of us. So yes, there's no trust in the police, but it shouldn't be the yardstick for any human being to take another's life, even if it is the case that they have done the act they are claiming that they have done. No one has that right. And I think that it starts from the home. We need to start from the scratch, so that the new generation coming will not be doing some of these things that is an eyesore in society. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Reverend. That's a powerful sermon, and I want to link that to the educational aspect we were talking about earlier on, educating our public to understand the roles and responsibilities they can play if they happen to chance on somebody who is stealing or some of these irregularities in this community, the proper ways of handling some of these issues. He spoke about communal labor. This is just something I'm just chipping in. And I met with a group, a friend somewhere last weekend, and we were talking about Rwanda. And she said, I believe once a month or once a week in Rwanda, everybody is mandated to go out and do some communal labor, do cleaning, everybody. They have some, I believe they're paramilitary or some kind of forces who would ensure that every home, every apartment, people are out of their homes to be a part of that communal labor. So that's just by the way. It's something that needs to be probably reintroduced in Ghana, as Reverend said. And that will also give us the opportunity to educate people on some of the norms and do's and don'ts in our community. Prof, I'm pretty sure you wanted to say something.
Yes, yes. I wanted to applaud Lady Pastor Margaret for bringing us back to the basics. The reason why it was not an oversight, the reason why I never spoke about that is because here on AfriWeek, that is a given. That is one of the most basic principles that we've talked about over and over and over again, that the leadership starts at home. But you just open a can of worms. If we are going to go back to that, you'll be surprised that even these boys on the streets, most of them don't have parents to begin with. So their ability to have empathy, even for another human being, is non-existent. And we can talk about the communal labor aspect and everything else, but that is where I no longer believe in the bottoms up building of a society concept anymore. If you live in a society in which a minister has been given $43 million to clean up a city, and the city is not
Prof,
clean.
let me chip in this. Are you saying that the communal labor thing is a bottom up approach which you don't believe in? Okay. I just wanted to be clear with that.
I personally no longer believe in that until our leadership structures are responsible. I've stated this personal experience over and over again. When I went back to Ghana, I would drive to Bantama, park my car, go into the city, do all my business, and go back to my car because I don't like traffic. Walk back to my car and go home. And whenever I was in the city, whenever I drank water, I ate whatever, my trash was with me to my car until I get home and I put it away. Until I read that my taxes have paid for trash cans to be delivered to the city and to be emptied every day. And I was still paying for that, and it was not done. After that, I was dropping my trash everywhere. I am not proud to say that, but I will do it again if the leadership structures don't change.
So you added to the problems within the community.
Yes, I was adding to the problem to the community because I already paid for the solution. So this idea of asking people to come out and clean the city, we first need to know that there are no funding, like Lady Pastor Margaret said, there was no funding for the media commission or whatever to educate the people. Every year, we buy more than 700 SUVs. Every year. It is not an issue of no funding. It's an issue of misplaced priority. That is what it is. Because if I pay for trash cans, Nana, you go to Ghana, you paid for a mason to come and build your house. Okay, you bought the cement, you bought the water, you bought everything. It is sitting there. You come back, the mason says, "Oh, this is how we build a house." So you build it, and you've paid the mason. You paid the mason, and the mason is telling you how the house should be built, and you should build it.
Yeah, but sometimes, even though the mason has been paid and he's doing his job, sometimes you can help.
Why should I help?
I mean, some people would love to do that.
If I knew how to build a house, I wouldn't pay the mason.
You might not be doing the actual building, but like
then why am I paying you?
Because probably you want it to be done on time. There's a time schedule, and it's not being done on time.
Nation building.
So I also want to say this. This is Prof's personal opinion on some of the things he's talking about.
Yes, but personal opinion.
I personally don't believe that we have to add up to the problems just because we know that we've paid for the solution and somebody is not being responsible. So we are equally being irresponsible. So if we would want to talk about the irresponsibility of other people and we are equally being irresponsible, then where lies the moral justification? That's my point.
Yes, and I agree totally with you. But This is also my personal point.
Right. And which I respect that.
Shepherds are needed because sheep cannot shepherd themselves. That is the only reason why we pay for a shepherd. To piggyback on what Lady Pastor said, it is the responsibility of every parent to teach their kids how to behave in the public space.
Yeah.
It is the responsibility of the parent. What if these people do not have parents? That is where I am coming from. That is where I am coming from. That is why we pay for the police, we pay for our MPs, we pay for our representatives in the society. And those people need to create an expectation and a trust system in which their citizenry will go back to them when there are problems. And if they cannot do that, there is no need for them to be there. You've said this over and over again that if you are in a leadership position, one of your best gifts to the society is to move out of that position if you know you are incapable of doing the job. True or false?
Yeah, you're right.
Exactly. So why do we pay the police? Why do we pay the fire service? Why do we pay our school teachers? Why do we pay our politicians? And every day they come to us and tell us why they cannot do their job. That is my problem. Don't come to me and tell me why. Do you know why the Rwandans go and do the service? It's not because there are paramilitary people coming out to drive them out to go and do the service. They see the priorities of their society and they see where the money is going. They don't see a minister getting $43 million to clean the Odona River and the river is still choked. And then she answers for what she has done in 43 seconds. 43 seconds. My classmates were discussing this after Donald Trump was almost assassinated and how much force both political parties put on the leader of the Secret Service force. The next day she resigned. When they called her to the Senate, did you watch? Did you watch what they did to her?
No.
For about 7 hours, they kept bombarding her. And our minister gets $43 million, doesn't do the job, and gets 43 seconds to answer.
Yes, so 43 equals 43.
Okay. Then why?
Anyway,
then tell me why I should be the one trying to clean the Odona River. You tell me.
Yeah, but my point is, since we want to be a part of the solution, that is especially when we look at it from the perspective of Africa, we want to be a part of the solution. So we can, and then it also gives us the moral right to go after those who are doing the wrong in the society. Because if we don't have the moral right, then we're being hypocrites. And like I always tell my kids, when I talk to them about something, I tell them it is not just you, I'm proud of it. Recently we started practicing this early morning sun viewing, and I keep telling them, I'm not asking you to do it by yourselves. I'm doing it too. So we're doing it together. If I'm not doing it, don't do it. So it forces me to do the right thing as well. You understand? So if even though it's a good thing I'm asking them to do, but if I don't do it, what is the moral justification for me to either chastise them or criticize them for not doing it? So that is the point, the perspective I'm coming from. You understand? So for us, it gives us the moral platform to be able to tell people they're doing the wrong thing and they got to do the right thing. And then again, it also makes us part of the solution, not part of the problem, which is our mantra as African. You know, we want to be part of the solution and not part of the problem. So that's the perspective I'm looking at it from. With that being said, we almost out of time. We're going to continue this discussion next week because there were things that I wrote down here which we didn't tackle. We only spoke about even the police. We didn't talk much about the police.
No.
We just scratched the surface of that. So we're going to be continuing next week, and we're going to talk about the police. We're going to talk about institutional failures and all this stuff. But with that being said, Prof, give your final okay, Reverend, can you give your final statement so we will round up?
Okay, so I don't have much to say except to say buttress support what you just said. The vision of Settle Africa is to help society. So we believe that once we do that, other people will follow or do same. So for us, what people are doing is not what we are here for. We believe that even if one person can change, have a certain mindset positively towards development, then there's it is I don't want to say it is possible. Then it is okay, and it will help other people to walk same path. So I mean, I'm encouraging all the youths that there are a lot of things happening around, but let's take our time. Let's ponder over some of these things and ask ourselves questions. If I'm the one, will I be happy if this thing is done towards me, or if I'm treated this way? I'm sure that if you not be happy, you will do the right thing in society. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend. Prof.
Well, I'll go back and say that what kind of society are we trying to build, and what kind of leadership structures do we have in place? And instead of being always talking about what happened, why don't we become proactive? Why don't we put the steps in place that will prevent some of these things from happening? And as far as I can see, the best way to prevent some of these things from happening is to place the consequences right there in front of the people, educate them about alternative measures, and allow them to see that if you do this and you do it wrongly, this is where it is going to land you. Until we are consistent, until we are deliberate, until we are focused on repeating the good things and letting the people understand that this is the standard, this is the procedure, we will continue to see these things happening in our society. Thank you.
You're welcome, Prof. You heard Prof and Reverend Margaret. Next week, we're going to continue with the discussion. We're still going to be talking about the role of the media. We're still not done because we need to let the education go down, and the media, being the gatekeepers of information, would have to be up and doing and be responsible for some of these things and make sure that they guard what comes out of their mouths. The moment they sit behind the console, behind the microphone, they got to be very careful what comes out of their mouths, because they are there to educate, to entertain, and to inform the people. With that being said, thank you so much for being a part of ANALYZ DIZ. And my name is Nana Osei Bonsu Jr., and my co-pilot.
I'm Kojewa from Pong.
And we had a special guest.
I'm Margaret Akusi Ahoshi. Thank you.
All righty. With that being said, see you next week. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye-bye.
Bye.